crypto market has scared a lot of people. With the current volatility, especially those who are new to this market, has been scared. But some of these assets actually shows us if we are right, then we discussed about this possibility before, right? This is something you should be looking at. For sure, what we are talking about is this rally, right? Last time I highlighted the fact that it's going to be a Nike symbol kind of pattern playing out in the price action, which would create a lot of opportunities. But right now, if you are in the market, don't miss this point. I think a lot of people are missing this point. When the price reached the upside on a daily chart, especially in the last video, I highlighted the fact that, guys, watch this. The market is showing you a lot of different things. And some of them are things which we should not forget. Especially in yesterday's video, I highlighted this. If we are here, we're going to see around 15-20% volatility. If it's this one, we may see 25-30% volatility to the downside, right? So having all this in mind kind of helps you to understand what really is happening. Especially if you do look at the altcoin market, it kind of shows you that history is not just rhyming itself, it's trying to repeat itself. Yeah, the size is a little bit different, but the price structure looks same. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. So if you actually have went through what we discussed in last 7 days or say a week, we discussed heavily about these assets producing a negative divergence, right? We went through those like 4 days back. I talked about render saying, okay, look, RSI is breaking to the downside. Price and RSI is showing you a negative divergence, right? That was something of importance if it's me. Then you're looking at IOTX showing like, it was like 6 days back. It was showing you a negative divergence, a possible correction. Historically, whenever this happened, yes, it's true. You are still in an uptrend. You're still going to the upside. But the price can come back down before it goes up, right? So that was IOTX. Then you look at this. That was AGIX. 6 days back, we talked about this, right? And then in Solana, we were like, okay, this is something happening. We don't know whether we are going to follow the history as it is, but as of now, you do have some issues. Then StarJ, another asset. Right now, the price came somewhat close to this bottom range. So all of this shows you they are playing out the history as much as possible. And that's when last month, so December 17th, when we argued that most likely we are here and historical patterns suggest that we are there, that was a lot of things to digest, right? If that's true, you had a month like this. That's important to understand because this is a monthly chart. You have like a month or two where you get the volatility, then you start bursting to the upside, right? So now you break that down, you zoom in and you get to see like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just watching these negative divergence forming on the chart. It's also about acting about your particular trade. So if you have a trade in these assets, now what would you do? Say in the SI family, we actually shared it, right? I closed those trades back 28 December and dropped a voice message like why I'm doing that, that kind of a things. Now, if you do understand things clearly, now we are at a point where we are doing something a little bit different, a little bit, right? Yesterday, for Bitcoin, on a daily, we talked about the possibility we may actually see some volatility. We wanted to see a retest and a bounce, but that didn't happen. We broke that support because of that negative divergence, right? Now, on the dollar, yesterday we talked like, okay, there is a lot of possibility we may go to the upside. That means market should be suffering. Look at the market now. This is the Dow Jones. It is suffering, right? It is slowing down. Negative 284 points. Now, you look back at the dollar now. The dollar is starting to show you something like what Bitcoin showed you yesterday. Now, this is a daily chart for sure, but still it is there as of now. If you're a guy who follows the trend, now you can argue that, okay, you're reaching the trend line resistance, which means if we are getting the negative divergence at that point, it is positive for the markets and negative for the dollar, unless we get a breakout here with substantial volume. And even that needs to break through 104 because you're already reaching that range in terms of the strength index, but the price is not. Or in other words, there's a lot of buyers just like last time, but the price is not going up. So either those new buyers are weak or the sellers, they're strong. So this is what you look at the hidden bullish and hidden bearish divergence. Keeping this in mind helps you a lot in markets, especially the crypto market. Now we come out here. Yesterday on the same chart, we talked about the possibility that, yeah, the RSI is not going up, but the price is. That's a hidden negative divergence, right? The price is still going up, but the RSI is not. So you kind of learn a lot from these. The price is going up, but the RSI is not. That took us to the idea we may see a correction. Now, if you take the same chart, same asset, you go on a weekly, right? You go on a higher time structure, you don't have any of those divergence happening. You're just consolidating, right? The pattern which you have looks somewhat like this. Now, yes, it's a weekly chart, so the volatility which you are watching is a little bit lower. So to get more noise or points, data points in the market, you can look at this. A 3-day chart, which is not a daily, which is not a weekly. So you get best of both worlds. Now here you are looking at this and putting the argument like, watch this. The price shows you that it made higher lows, which is positive for the bulls. Whereas the RSI shows you the opposite, which means we just discussed about the possibility here. What was that? The price is going up, but the RSI is not. That's a hidden bullish divergence. So on a 3-day chart, which is a higher time frame structure for that of a daily, it still shows you with a candle close confirmation that you have daily volume, 3-day volume. It's all now slowly moving onto the bullish side, and you do have this divergence. Now, the next thing you need to keep your eye on would be the weekly. So on a higher time frame, this is what we see on a weekly. When we were here last time, the data point showed us the price was in the same range, but the RSI was going down, or else there's a lot of sellers coming into the market, but they were not able to push the price down. Great. Perfect, right? This is perfect. Now, this time around, you're watching for something same. You want to actually see the same thing happening at a shorter horizon. I think that's what's happening here on a 3-day. Like you're actually starting to get these narrative. The price is still staying the same to the upside. RSI is going to the downside. That kind of gives you more of a bullish sentiment. Now, when you go on a daily, this is where you kind of see this long expanded structure becoming a smaller one here. So if you zoom into that to learn more, what you understand is like, okay, the first time you got rejected, the second time you went above that, did a fake out, came back down to the bottom, right? This was the bottom. Then you slowed down, went back up. Now here we are looking at somewhat similar movement in the market. You had a fake out to the upside now. That's kind of confirmed. This is your bottom range. But what's the difference? You have a trend line which is acting as a support, and that trend line is edging to the upside. The most recent price action where we saw something like this is here. You had a trend line resistance, the horizontal one here, and then the price action was going to the upside. But at the same time, when the price was making higher lows, RSI was making lower lows. That actually showed you there was a hidden bullish divergence. That's one of the reasons why we doubled down back then. That's the same thing which is happening in the market right now. So yes, the daily, the 3-day, and the weekly is showing you something which is favoring the bullish side of the arguments, right? Now, yes, you do look at these, like, the Cardano, the XRP, all of them are still in the pattern, still in the corrective movement, and you are not actually watching a huge divergence there. We would like to see some, but as of now, we're not watching that, especially when you plot a long-term trend line. This is one which we followed. Now, if you put in the standard deviation of what's happening here, we're getting really close to the next one. We need to see the price bouncing off from here. Yes, the price respected this range. That's great. That's huge. But if you do look at Bitcoin and XRP, you're not actually watching that bullish divergence happening here. Yes, the price is still here, which is actually a good thing, but the RSI is kind of following the price. So you're not actually getting a lot of clues in the market. Now, that's a 3-day chart, right? Now you can go on a weekly chart, which is a little bit higher structure, to look at things like the same. And then again, you get a higher low here forming, but the RSI is also showing you something similar. So as of now, you don't have that hidden bullish divergence, which we really want to see here, but it's not yet there. But is it bearish? No, the market as a whole dropped with that panic. Yes, certain assets went down too much. A lot of assets tried to push back up. So in that, if you do look at XRP as a whole, you should actually say, like, okay, that dropped like 8%, which is not bad. The Solana dropped 8%. VAX, Doge, those large cap assets did almost the same. It's not one asset dropping out of the sky. So if you understand how the market works, how the market sentiment works, this is helping you massively to understand, okay, you buy during these kind of capitulation moves. When you do see these kind of big movements in the market, especially, when the price is not doing much and all of a sudden it does something like this, that creates a lot of opportunities. Now, when you are on a longer horizon chart, this is what you're watching. And literally, what we want to see is the price bouncing back up and bouncing immediately. Immediately means this double bottom structure was retested and bounced during that fake out. So this double bottom structure, your double bottom structure here, should stand there. So this is your second retest of that double bottom. So if you look here, you had the double bottom, you broke that to the upside. The first retest here, the second retest here, you bounced up. So if we do exact similar movements in the market, we should see something like this. Now for that, it's a weekly chart. How long it's going to take? That's one of the reasons why I said payment assets will be a little bit slow while the other assets still trend higher. So if you look at smart contracts compared to what XRP has done, this is still up. And you go on a daily chart to see like the price action of those. Like, you really need to understand what's happening there. So if you do see a divergence, that kind of gives you an edge in the market. So here we are looking at Cardano on a daily chart, and the price action shows you it's still at this range. It did not actually move. This is the range. But the RSI kind of shows you that it dropped enormously from that range, right? So that kind of is showing like, some buyers are interested. They are entering into this asset. So on a weekly, this is where you are giving a little bit more importance to the price action. Like, okay, the first time you entered to this territory, you're coming back down. Now, is it this one or this one? We don't know. But what we do know is that we broke the accumulation. We may retest that and then grind back up. Now, that run up is not a small deal there. It's a 35x move to the upside. So if you do get a retest, consider that as a luck, 1, 2, a huge buying opportunity. Now, if you did average down here close to the bottom, now that's not a huge opportunity for you. It's just adding more time for your waiting period as that goes higher. But you do understand something. When the price goes up, it just runs too fast. few months, it's done, right? Then you have the divergence forming. Then you're like, okay, I don't know where to exit. That kind of a price action enters the market. That kind of a area reaches into your portfolio. So you're like, okay, confused. So if you do think like, okay, these kind of charts showing these kind of possible moves in the market is important for you, then you can join 920 members in the SI family. You can use the Patreon. The link is given in the description below in YouTube or in the bio on Twitter. So guys, if you did receive any value from this video, smash that like button for me. That supports the channel a lot. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.